And welcome back to Flexible Games, where we are attempting to fix a bug in the Angel Belt mod. I've got my screen back, which is nice. I apologize for the crash and burn of the previous episode. Was not expecting that. When I started debugging, I didn't even think about full screen mode. Yeah, the game does not like to get out of full screen mode. So do not use full screen mode when you are trying to debug a mod. So there is a bug that somehow made its way in. Somebody had reported this on the mod page, but I wasn't sure whether to believe them because so much time has passed. They could have a lot of other mods that try to override that same hotkey. But anyway, since I've verified the mod or the bug exists, we want to try to fix it. This was not a bug that was introduced because of a new version of the game. I think this bug was introduced because I just suck at programming. So one of the key things about the game in modding that I learned, and this took a while for me to learn this when coding mods. Clients are the difference between a client and the server, right? When you code a mod, and I've covered programming mods in detail in previous streams. You can find them. They're easy to find. So when you code a mod, there are two distinct sides. This enum app side, right? There are two sides. There's the client and then there's the server. Now, as a player, you would think that the client kind of runs everything and you're just basically communicating changes and stuff to the server. No. The server is the master of the domain. Everything happens on the server. The client is essentially a dummy terminal who communicates with the server, and the server is pushing information to, right? Any changes that you make on the client side, the server does not know about. And you cannot push changes to the server. The reason for that is like security and anti-griefing, right? Because you could create a mod that basically guts or obliterates entire chunks of the world at a button press, just deletes everything, and then push that onto a server, basically deleting large parts of a server. That would be bad. So a client can't really push data to the server. What you have to do in a client-server relationship is you have to communicate with the server on its own terms, and through that, you basically use packets. The API has set up a very simple way of communicating with the server, and the mod has to support that. So I can't create a client-side only mod that pushes data to the server because the server will have no idea what to do with those packets because the mod isn't installed on the server. You have to have that mod on the server or in order for the server to understand what these packets mean. Okay, so that is part of the security between the client and the server. And that was one of the lessons I learned when making the crafting table mod. When I was making that mod, it became obvious to me that when I, as a client, interacted with the table, the GUI that would come up was a client-side thing. But that GUI had to communicate with the server. When you would place an ingredient in there, it had to send that to the server. And the server would pick that up and be like, there's a thing on that square. and I render it on top of the table. And that information gets pushed to the client, and the client updates. And it happens, in a tiny fraction of a second, but that communication has to be open. And that's what I learned doing that mod. And so when I came back to the Angel Belt, I fixed the bug that was when you would adjust your speed, because the original version of the mod, when you adjusted your speed, it would reflect that in the game for a second or two, and then your speed would be reset back, and then you had to adjust the speed again. Well, what was happening is I was adjusting it on the client side, not on the server side. And so the server periodically refreshes data to the clients, and so that data would refresh and it would reset my speed again. And so once I understood that, now all changes get pushed to the server first. The server processes the packet, updates the client, or updates basically the player data model behind the scenes, and then pushes that to the client. The client then picks it up and goes, oh, here's my new settings, here's my new speed, here's all the new data that I need is then pushed to the client. But the change itself happens on the server first. So that was a long-winded way of talking about when the client sends a packet and when the server receives a packet. Now, all of this is happening in the same code, right? All of the code for both sides of the equation are here. So, I would highly recommend, if it's confusing you at first, to do major comments, right? You want to comment your code in order to set that straight. So on client received, right? That is the belt response, and this is the client receiving this. On client sent, right? This is the server receiving a plan. So on client sent is the routine basically that the server gets, and it's saying, here, this is the player that I'm getting it from. This is a packet that's built. It's basically a generated packet with the API. It's glorious. But if you want to look at more detail in this code, again, it's all on GitHub. But yeah, the client channel and server channel, those are two channels that I open up, and the channel is called Angel Belt. So you can have mods that register their own communication channels, and the server and clients, manage those automatically behind you. This is one of the reasons why I say this API is absolutely brilliant. Okay, so toggle, if we're on here, we're on the server. So this toggle means we are on the server, we need to change a function. You do not run this if you're on the client. It makes no difference if you're on the client. None of these settings are permanently changed if you're only setting them on the client. So we need to go check client waste, right? So when you hit a key on your keyboard, a hotkey, you're obviously the client doing that. You are a client and you're hitting a hotkey. What happens when you hit that hotkey? You have to then send that information to the server, because the client, even if you have the data in here, because I fixed these bugs. If you change the client, which is the CAPI here, that's the client API, if you change these on the client, those will immediately get overwritten from the server. So you don't change anything on the client manually. You want the server to push that data to you. So on Flyplane Lock, the check client waste, that is a routine because we know we're on the client. If you fire a hotkey, the server can't fire a hotkey. You know you're on the client when you fire a hotkey. So what we do is we detect the free move plane lock is a world data on the player. So we look at what plane lock we are on and whether or not it's a none, an X, Y, or a Z. Now, one thing that could have happened here is this could have changed in some way, which is why we may need to debug this. So let's try when you hit debug. I have a breakpoint already. Debug is, I think, F5. Yep, F5. So again, this is going to load the game, but I want to get out of, before I hit that hotkey, I'm going to get out of full screen mode. I do not want full screen mode. That is bad. Okay, so that is bad. There's the window. We are out of full screen mode, which is good. Back to game. There we go. Now we can debug, and you can see over on right below me. Let me turn me off really quick. For some reason my thing, that button doesn't work. Let me turn me off manually. You can see all of this stuff here. This is real time. This is memory. This is CPU. This is real time debugging this game, right? So it's good times. So let's come in here and say, all right, I've already got the angel belt on. I don't have the angel belt on. Oh yeah, I had to hard exit. I had to end task last time. So we are going to give item angel belt off. Okay, and then we're going to put it on. And there it is. Now, when I hit F3, it should drop me into my code. Boom. All right. So now we are debugging in real time. Let me pull me back up. It's a lot easier to like communicate when I know you can see me because I have hand gestures and stuff. Anyway, so first things first, check client waste. That should be obvious. That should bring back and say we are indeed wearing the angel belt. So debug here, we want to step into or step over. We want to step over this or step into it. Step into would come down and go into the check client waste method, which is somewhere down there. It is. It's down here. Check client waste. Let's see. This routine is being run. This might be where the bug is. So F10. Check client waste. So we are indeed wearing it, right? We are indeed wearing it. Where are my watch items? What? Locals. Let's look at locals. Float this, please. Okay. These are all my variables, local variables that are in here, right? So we want enum access, new access. We want to initialize this variable. So that's going to set that to none. Okay. Now, cappy.world.player.worlddata. Okay. So if we go in here and we go to watch, we can add cappy in here. Okay. This is the client API. This is all of the values in here. And so we want to go world, okay, player, world data, and the player is the player associated with this API model. It is specific to this player, not any player, this player. Okay, and then world data, free move plane lock right here is set to none. Okay, so we are going to F10. It is at none. We know it's none. Now we want to set it to X. Okay, so new axis is now X. Right? So new axis is X. Saved axis is none. Now it's going to be X. Okay. So this is now going to send the axis as a string, because you can't really send complex data. I mean, you could, but you'd have to write a huge amount of custom code to unpack the data. You basically have to send it as like a binary stream and then pick up that binary stream on the server and sort of piece together the data. It's a little bit more complicated than just sending a string or an integer. So this is going to send a packet, right, to the server. Saved access, saved speed, toggle update flight. That's the string of like, what am I wanting? What purpose is this packet? So you can name whatever the purpose is. You can have multiple different purposes, and then the packet handler could pick up, 50 different things that you want to do with the same packet network. It's, again, really, really nice system. So we are going to, let's step over that. That shows that. That shows that. And we want to F5. Oh, this is... Yeah, what is our response? Was success. Okay. And so that should have... Yeah, there's the flight plane axis locked. So it's not actually locking it. As you can see, I can go up and down. This should have locked me on one axis, but it did not. So why is that? I've got cat hair just everywhere. This just covers my keyboard. I swear to God, my cat like lays on my keyboard at night. So what I want to do is go into the toggle routine, which runs on the server. Okay. This runs on the server, and I'm going to put a breakpoint here because we know the client code is accurate. We know that that code is working. So I'm going to take the breakpoint off of that, and now we're going to run it again, and we're going to see why this is not happening. So F3. Okay, so now we're in the toggle routine. Now this is the server, right? This is the server, not the client. So belt toggle, the BT, we are trying to set this as X. We want to see we want to make sure this is all good. And I do a sanity check right here. So this get own inventory. Okay, the player. Remember, this is the server. So the server needs to know what player is sending this message. This is the player. This is the message. Player.inventory manager get own inventory character. The character inventory is a named inventory. That's when you hit C, all of those slots that you can put stuff in, that's the character inventory. It's separate from your inventory, right? So I look at get own inventory, and then I get the waste dress type enum, which is the index into that array. It's, again, you need to know which waste, it's enum waste has a value associated with it. Convert that to an integer and we get the waste slot. So if we F10 on this, the waste slot, you can see the code there, angel belt on. That's good. That's what we want. So it's not null, which is good. And BT toggle, right? BT toggle update flight. So we should be in here. Move speed multiplier. We're setting that. And we want entity controls. Okay. So world data, I'm setting both of these values. I kind of wasn't sure which one would take. But I think this is where I'm missing it. The move speed. Well, I'll have to look in the entity controls. Because axis lock, this is trying to parse. So what this is doing, this enum try parse, is sort of a built-in thing that tries to take a string. When you take an enum and you do a toString, that turns that into a string. This tries to reverse that process. It tries to take that string and converts it into an enum object, which it did, and it accurately converted it to X. So why world data dot player dot world data, if we go to watch, we go player dot world data, okay, free move plane lock right here is set to X. So why remove multiplier, entity controls, fly plane lock? I bet you that's what it is. Yes, that's what it is. I don't know if that's a new value, and why the stuff is in here twice, I don't know. So we have free move plane lock. Okay, so what I think the fix is, and again, I want to see. Okay, so we're going to save and leave. I wanted to gracefully quit, so it actually saved the fact that I had an angel belt on me. So what I think is happening is I'm not editing this entity controls. Free move plane lock is being set, but player dot world data dot entity controls dot fly plane lock equals axis lock. I just love the programming tools now. They just know what you want to do. I don't know. It's just magic. It's just magic. It's absolutely magic. This, we're gonna take away. Well, I wanted to actually not debug this. This might have fixed the bug. Okay. So we're able to fly. And now F3. No, still. What? Now I'm kind of confused. Well, Fly plane locked. This broadcast player data, this, when I said, remember the server pushes data to the client? That's what this is. This is a built-in system. This pushes the data to the client. So player dot that's not inventory manager. There's no entity controls. Dot world data dot, oh my god, don't you love when you hit your keyboard and you hit like 5 keys at once? I just love that. Dot free, there's the free move plane lock, whether the player is forcibly kept on a vertical or horizontal plane during free move. That has a get and a set. Okay. But why? Why is this? I don't care. Yeah, when you turn on and off the thing, it usually resets all of the values, because I just assume that you're wanting, it's a different, basically a different instance of flight, and you may not want the same settings. So if we do player.worlddata.free move plane lock, we already set that. And then .entity controls .fly plane lock. Why? The fact that we're seeing an X every time when we set it means that it's not being set. Means that when we get it on the client side, on fly plane lock, when we get it, it's still saying none. It's like it's not setting it. Okay. So we're gonna like rebuild. Player.worlddata.free plane move lock. Player.world play. Yeah, this should be working. And I recommend when you are trying to update and do things with, don't have a bunch of mods that you're not concerned with loading when you're debugging or when you're trying to build a mod, because the more mods you have, the more stuff it has to load when it does this. So just, be aware of that. Okay. Yeah, the fact that it's not saving, to me, indicates there's something fundamental going on here. Player.free, yeah, it's not setting it. Okay. Update flight. It's not taking this. For whatever reason, it's not setting this. So let's set a F9 here and do an F5. Okay, axis lock is X. We're setting X. Axis, we're setting it. Okay, future me is fix the bug simply by uncommenting this line. For some reason, the broadcast player data was not updating this value, so I had to set on the client API. I had to set the value, and that works. Everything works. The whole shebang works. So got it fixed. Gonna upload the new version for 1.18 here after I get it all zipped up. So I hope everybody enjoyed this process, but I wanted to get the fix in here to let everybody know the fix was really simple. Again, I don't know why. I'm not on daily talking terms with the developers, so I don't know why it wasn't picking that up on broadcast player data, but it works now with this line in there. Maybe he changed a little bit on the client server, object system, or maybe it's a bug. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, got it fixed. Whether the player's fortunate, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this. It might be a bug with the base game code. So nothing I can do about that. But yeah, well, this was a wonderful little journey on trying to get this mod updated. It's updated. I just can't figure out why I'm not getting updated versions of what values I'm setting. So it is what it is. I'll have to look into it some more. If I figure it out, maybe I'll do another video. But this is the process. This is the modding process. Sometimes you kind of run into a wall and you can't really figure it out in a very short amount of time that takes for an episode. So anyway, I thank you guys for watching. Please hit that like button if you're enjoying this content. Yeah, give me all the feedback that you can. So yeah, I'll see you next time.